My coaches used to say, you have to be all in. You have to eat, sleep, and breathe your craft, boys. Michael Jordan's personal coach put it this way: interested people watch obsessed people change the world. That was Tim Grover. I took those concepts to heart on the field, and it led me to having a successful football career, both in high school and at the collegiate level, where I ended my career living my dream, playing for Texas A&M University. I have now shifted that work ethic and obsession from the field to the pasture. And like you, I absolutely love the show cattle industry. It's hard, it's competitive, it's rewarding, and it's addicting. Here, I want to share that obsession with you. I want to discuss how to climb the mountain of success and change our operations and our industry for the better. It's time to turn on the film and get coached up on the Cattle Coach Show. Hey, today's episode is sponsored by Bullnanza Stud Services. Bullnanza is located in Stillwater, Oklahoma and Sweetwater, Texas, and they have the opportunity to work with and provide services for the top operators and top bulls in the entire world, whether it be housing, collecting, storage, or promoting. Bullnanza is your answer for all your bull customer needs. If you want to learn more or find out how Bullnanza can help you, check out the link below. Now let's get back to the show. It is a beautiful day that the Lord has made. Thank you for joining us today. We have a value-packed episode for you today. This is one that I think if you implement some things here, it could have massive transition for you in terms of your management, in terms of your calf crop, and in terms of you making money. Recips. Recips is a huge topic whenever we're talking about show cattle operations, because we have to create cattle and offspring at a very high level. And so a lot of times we utilize donor females and want to mass replicate those exceptional cows. Recips and buying them and utilizing them and turning them into bred recips with your embryos in them is the key to success. So today we're going to discuss the ins and outs of buying and managing recips. And this is going to have a focus today on one particular calving window. And we're just going to dive into that one. And if this isn't your particular calving window, that's okay. Just kind of move the dates around to where it fits you. Or if you have a completely different type of operation, that's okay too, because there's a lot of different ways to do it. We just have with our customer base and our listeners, there's a lot of Texas club calf people or ones that aspire to be. And our hot window is calving at the end of summer or early fall. And anything outside of those parameters really loses value. So we want to maximize hitting that window. And so that's what we're going to concentrate today, the ins and outs of buying and managing recips to hit that late summer, early fall calving window. So jump in with me. I may use a little notes today because there's a lot of details that I don't want to miss. And I think that you're going to really like the value, like I said earlier, that you're going to get out of this episode. I'm going to give you a list of don'ts. I'm going to give you a list of do's, and then we're going to get into why. 4 do's and 4 don'ts, okay? Don't buy open recips. Buy breds. Have those as your rules. 2, don't wait till the last minute and buy right before your transfer. Do buy 4 to 6 months before your transfer date. Number 3, don't transfer into that cow more than twice, preferably just once. Do recycle your passes and transfer into those. We'll get into the whys and the ins and outs of them here in a little bit. 4, don't not turn a bull out. We'll get into it. 4, do. Do turn a bull out after you transfer an embryo into your recips. All right, there is your 4 do's and don'ts. Now let's get into it. Topic number 1 was don't buy opens. My grandpa traded a lot of cows in his lifetime. I'm talking probably over hundreds of thousands. And he owned a sale barn. He bought and traded cows. He raised sale barn calves. And he tells me, whenever you're dealing with recips, you're dealing with commercial cattle. And he would stress an open cow is a problem cow. If somebody is selling a cow open, they're not maximizing and trying to catch a premium on her, because you want to, if you're trying to catch a premium, you're selling as a pair, as a bred. So there's a reason why she's being sold as an open. It may be something as simple as she's crazy, the bull went bad. You don't know the reason, and that is the biggest reason on why not to buy opens. If you get in a bind and they don't breed and you have to turn around, even though it's the cheapest thing to buy initially, it's also going to be the cheapest thing you're going to resell. And all you're going to do is input. You're going to have to feed her. You're going to have to maintain her. You're going to probably baby her a little bit because you're trying to get her to take an embryo. And then you're going to spend money on drugs, setting her up. And then at the end of the day, you're still going to be reselling an open cow at probably, if we're hitting this window we're talking about, at least desirable time to sell in terms of commercial markets. So do buy breds. The biggest reason why I don't want you to buy pairs is because if they have a bull out, then you don't know for certain if those cows are for sure open. Because if you're buying pairs, the cows are probably cycling, and they can tell you, oh, we palpated them open. You don't know if the neighbor's bull got in. You don't know if the pregnancy is just so short it's undetected. And a pair is going to be the most expensive thing you can buy, because you have a quick return on investment with the calf side. But if you buy breds, you can buy them a little cheaper. That means you can probably buy 1 or 2 more cows with a set budget, and you can calve them out. You give that cow time. You're proactive. That's the biggest deal, is when you buy opens, you're rushed, you're in a hurry, you're late, you are trying to do things fast. Well, we want to do things right. And if you're going to do things right, have a plan, and your plan backs you up a little bit. Give the cows time to settle in. Let them know the land, let them know how you work them. Give yourself time to get them onto your nutrition plan. Let you know the cows, how they calve, how they act once they calve. It's a whole lot better if you have one that fights and you're trying to work that commercial calf rather than the first calf she has and you find out she fights and she hurts your embryo calf. You learn how she milks. You learn what her bag is like. You learn a lot of things about that cow when you can calve her out. I also think that you can hit your resale at the highest available time. Like in any other scenario, you're not going to resell them as high as what you would in this scenario. So if I'm buying 4 to 6 months prior to transfer and I'm buying breds and I'm calving these things, my desired window is calving late summer, early fall, and that means I'm breeding them right around that Thanksgiving time. So I back up October, September, August. I'm buying these cows as breds in the summer. Typically, people aren't buying a lot of cows in the middle of the summer because it's hot and they're not wanting to move them. They're not wanting to work them. That could be dry. If you buy cattle from a dry area, that is perfect scenario. They're going to be cheaper because they're going to have to sell because it's dry. 2, they're going to come from a dry area to your area who is hopefully a little better off, and they're going to gain weight. A commercial cow gaining weight means added value. Today's episode is brought to you by the Cattle Coach Academy. This is an online course that's whole objective is to help make you profitable. You take your cattle business and what you know, and then couple it with the teachings and strategies that are brought forth to you in this course, and it'll take you to a whole nother level. It is designed and goes into detail about the ins and outs of managing your money, treating your cattle business not so much just as a passion, but as a business. If this sounds like something you'd be interested in, click the link below and check out the Cattle Coach Academy today. Now, let's get back to the show. So I buy her early summer, calve her out late summer. I know about this cow. She's on my program. She's settled in. She knows what's what. I'm trying to make it for the next year as many embryo calves as possible. The best way I can do that is to limit all the stressors. There's so many factors that play into embryo transfer conception rates. So let's eliminate as many of those problems as we can. Buy you some breds in spring or early summer, calve them out, have them on your place. Then we'll have a calf to sell about the time that we're transferring embryos, and you can sell those calves, help pay your flush bill. Cash flow is king. Look at that. We covered points 1 and 2, do's and don'ts. Buy breds, not opens, and give yourself a plan, give yourself time, preparation. Buy early, not right at transfer. So if you're tracking with me, let's go to point number 3. Don't transfer more than twice, and do recycle your passes. So what does that mean? What does that look like? If I'm doing a flush and transfer, then that means I have one day there around Thanksgiving where I'm setting all those recips up to come in heat on the same day, where I can transfer embryos into them all on the same day. It's a great plan. That's a good plan. But what's going to happen is that embryologist is going to go in, palpate those recips, and you're going to inevitably have some passes, ones that aren't going to work that day, ones that aren't going to get used. Here's what I would recommend. The ones that are passes, put them to the side. The ones that take an embryo, turn them back out, put a bull on them. Well, I'm not trying to raise commercial calves. Turn them back out and put a bull on them. We'll get into why here in a minute. Take your passes, set a date with your embryologist to put in another round of embryos, and you can look at that date, start seeding them in, or whatever protocol you want to use to set them back up and transfer into them. And if you do it quickly, they're still going to be calving around the same time as your big group, and you can get a few more extra pregnancies out of that set of passes. There's typically nothing wrong with the ones that are passes. They just had a heat cycle at the wrong time to be able to use that day. That takes me to point number 4. Don't not turn a bull out, and do turn a bull out. So why? If I'm not a commercial guy and the only thing I want is embryo calves, what is this deal with turning a bull out? Here's the thing. 1, cash flow is king. 2, retention is important. What do I mean by retention? I'm calving these cows out next year. Okay? If I transfer an embryo, some of those are going to get pregnant, some of them are not. But those cows are going to be cycling. If I have a bull out, that bull's going to get those cows bred for me. That does a couple things. If I go to palpate, and I'd recommend palpating around 25 days to 40 days after transferring the embryo, and doing it with an ultrasound. Doing this will help you be able to see if it was embryo bred, and most likely at that time you won't be able to tell if she's bull bred yet. And that makes it easier for you because you can know for sure that you have embryo calves coming and which ones aren't going to have embryo calves coming. So when you palpate in that time, you take those that you know are going to be embryo bred and you mark those out. The other ones, you cut their embryo ear tag out, and you know that they're going to be coming with a commercial calf. And that gives you a couple options. By this time, whenever they're far enough along to be palpated to know if the bull got them, you're going to have a bred cow, which at that time you can sell as a bred cow, which should be about the same money as what you bought her for. You shouldn't lose money on that, and it will probably be in the spring, which is the best time of year to sell a bred cow in my mind and capitalize on new spring grasses and people trying to buy cattle to stock their place with. Another thing that this does is if you want to keep this cow and not flip her because she doesn't have an embryo calf, she's going to be calving in a tight enough window where you can use her that next Thanksgiving when you set them all up again. That's what I mean by retention. So even though you're not having an embryo calf, you're having a calf, which you are going to be able to sell even if it's only for commercial prices, but you're going to have some cash flow there. You're also going to not lose numbers of recips because they're going to be right there in that window. Whenever you go to set up, you can use them again. What happens is people say, I'm committed to only have an embryo calf, so they never turn a bull out. And whenever they palpate and see they have open cows, then they'll put seeders in and they'll set them all up again. And this is perfectly fine, but in my mind, it's a short-term plan because I've done it before. And not only is it increasing your risk, but it's decreasing your longevity of that group of cows. If I do that, palpate, see which ones are open, set them up again, I extend my window, and this time I take about a 50-day jump in how big I'm making that window, because it's another 10 days when I start that protocol, another 10 days before they'll have a heat cycle. And if I palpate them at 30 and then I add 7 on that, we're getting around 50 days. So not only am I kind of getting out of the window, but I'm also going to have passes in that group, and I'm also going to have ones that don't take an embryo in that group. And so if I start with 20, I have 5 passes on day 1 at Thanksgiving. So take 5 out of there, and I transfer 15 embryos. I fast forward my 30 days, and I palpate. I still have the 5 opens, and if I did really good, I'll have 10 breds and another 5 opens. So now I bought 20 cows, I have 10 bred how I want, and I have to set up another 10 to do it all again. And whenever I set those 10 up, now I'm transferring in January, probably end of December. And not only am I into winter, I have my forage has dropped in nutritional quality, so my conception rates are probably going to drop. The weather is changing and there's cold fronts coming in, and inevitably you're going to have a bad cold front whenever the cows are supposed to be having a heat. And so those 10 you set up, maybe you have 5 passes again. Set those 5 aside, and now I transfer these embryos. And because my forage quality is down and the weather's changing and we're in the middle of winter, I'm going to have a little less conception rates. I'm going to get 2 pregnancies. So if you're tracking with me, I did a whole lot to now have 2 cows that are on the verge of being outside of my calving window that's ideal, and I only added 2 to my original group of 10. And I bought 20 cows to have 12 embryos, but really 2 of them are outside of the window I want. So the next year I probably can't use them again because they're going to calve and not be able to work for my first transfer, and I'm going to have to buy more, and it's a cycle of attrition. But let's look at if I bought the original and turned a bull out. I bought 20. 5 passes. Then I have those 15 I transferred into, got 10 breds to my embryos. And I also got 5 opens, but they're breds to the bull. Then I take these 5 and I set them up immediately. And now I'm transferring early December. Weather can not hurt me too bad. And I have 2 passes, transferring to 3, get 2 bred. Now I upped to having, I have 15 bred cows already. I added 2 more. And once I transferred, I turned the bull out, called it quits. These 2 cows that passed twice, I don't like that to keep in my herd. And so what I'm going to do is turn my bulls out that day, early December, pull the bulls probably second week of January. And whenever I go to palpate those, I know that I'm going to have 12. Yeah, with the numbers I just gave, I'm going to have 12 embryo calves, another 5 bull bred cows that I like. And so that gets me to 17. And then I got 2 or 3 that they were 2 passes, and they may be bull bred now, but I can make a decision. I can roll them this summer, get a little cash flow as bred cows, or I can keep them and just try them that next year. But at minimum, I got 17 recips that are perfect to work for next year's Thanksgiving breeding date. Is your brain smoking a little bit? Are you following? Are you tracking? This one is hard, but those are familiar with the game, and this is a scenario that's very familiar with you. I hope you see just small decisions you can make that make a big impact on your pocketbook, both with increased calving rates and cash flow, but also with retention of your recip herd, where you don't have to buy more recips every year. You can utilize the ones you have for a longer period of time. And like I said, there's many ways to do it. The only wrong way is the one that doesn't work. Find what works for you and your operation. This is one that I have found that works for me, especially when I calve. And I think the people that do this, it has worked for them as well. I hope this has added value to you and your operation, and that you're better for it. Thank you for tuning in to the Cattle Coach Show.